Hello and welcome to another episode of Anygames Talent Talk, a show where I sit down and talk to various people from the anime and video games industry to learn a bit more about them, the projects they've been involved in, and the characters they've brought to life. In today's episode, I'm talking to Bryce Papenbrook, who you might have heard as Kirito from Sword Art Online, Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, Meliodas in Seven Deadly Sins, and Makoto Naegi in the Danganronpa series. We discuss how he got into voice acting, how he's landed so many leading roles in various anime, differences between dubbing for home releases and Simuldubs, the hardest things he's had to do in the booth, and also being the co-founder of the Unlocked app. As with the previous episode, this one was also recorded live on location at Supanova Sydney 2019, so I do apologise for the background noise. But without any further ado, let's jump into the episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I often ask this a lot of to a lot of other voice actors, and you probably got the question like thousands of times before. But how did you personally get into voice acting? How'd you get your break?
Yeah, I actually grew up in a family of actors. My dad was working on a show called Power Rangers. A little known show, and he played Rito Revolto, the skeleton dude in the show, and I used to go into the studio. I used to love watching him work, and I was about 8, and they needed a kid's voice, and my dad said, "He's a kid, throw him in the booth," and got thrown in there and became a voice actor.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you got the experience kind of behind the scenes, and then got to go into it just with a bit more experience and a leg up.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your voice acting, most voice actors are pretty lucky in their time if they get to voice the lead in a show. You've been pretty lucky in your time, especially since like 2012 to currently. You're almost the lead in most of the currently simulcasting things. So what's it like being so busy? I would say, like you're Kirito, you've got Sword Art Online, Kirito, you're the lead in Attack on Titan.
Eren Yeager,
Around
yes.
that time, you're also doing Danganronpa, which is a favorite of mine as well.
Awesome.
So,
Naegi and Nagito.
Exactly.
I'm the only actor that's in every iteration of Danganronpa.
You're also in the games?
All the games, yep. And the anime. So
what was it like getting those roles? Was it, did you have to audition and you were just lucked out, or was it one of the cases of the director kind of contacting you or thinking you were perfect for the role?
No, I feel like I've won the anime lottery. All of the roles I've auditioned for, and for different casting directors. And I guess, there's this aspect to my voice that just works very well with that kind of character. I think it's because my voice hasn't changed since middle school. Like it's probably what does it. Eternally the young hero. And I'm not complaining. I mean, it's just been so much fun, and to be part of so many great franchises that just keep continuing on and on. It's been great. It's been really amazing. I feel extremely fortunate for my sort of lot in the voice acting world.
So you've been a voice actor for quite a few years now. You've had the experience in the traditional kind of DVD dubbing, and can you compare that to what it's like being the simulcast that you're involved with as well? So what the differences are in the process of those dubbing?
Yeah, it's Simuldubs are really stressful. It's one episode per week. It has to be written extremely quickly. Has to be recorded on time. Versus, when you're recording for a DVD, you go in and record as a batch. So you'll go in for an extended number of hours and record 4 or 5 episodes, depending on how many have been, set in that batch. But it's just kind of stressful. So, for example, to come out here to Australia, I had to record kind of ahead of everyone else in an episode, and then I'll be the very last one in on the next episode. It'll literally go straight to mix and right out, and they just barely made it work for me to continue and come out here. Yeah, and if the timing didn't work, they would have had to put another actor in, which is like a nightmare, to give up my role. So I'm really happy that the timing worked out, but it's stressful. You can't get sick. You have to record at a certain pace, and recording on Attack on Titan is not an easy thing. I mean, Eren goes through some really emotional moments, some things that are, a lot of blends of emotions that are very hard to get to in the booth. So it's difficult to do that.
Yeah, so if in the off chance, it's a lot of pressure on you, if you did happen to get sick and they replaced you, do you often come back to do the dubbing for the home release?
Yeah, actually that happened to a friend of mine, Robbie Damon. He got so sick that his doctor said he couldn't speak for a month. And he was the lead of Tales of Zestria, and they actually reached out to me to come in and replace him for the simuldub, and then he came and dubbed back over what I did for the DVD, but I had to get tagged in because he just could not talk. So it's very, it's a lot of pressure, versus the DVD, you wouldn't have that kind of pressure.
That's right. So I know it's sometimes like picking your favorite child, but do you have a favorite, or at least a top couple of favorite roles that you've had in your whole stint as a voice actor?
I mean, they really do become like your kids, and a lot of my kids are angry and scream a lot, so I don't want to make them mad. They live inside my head, so now it's really hard to pick. I always answer that question with just like everything on my Wikipedia.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're also very busy while you're voice acting, but you're very busy separately because you're also the co-founder of a platform called Unlocked.
I am, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how that venture came to be?
Absolutely. So,
or for those not aware of it, what it is?
Yeah, so Unlocked is a mobile app that is our digital iteration of a anime or comic convention. And we started the company, I say we, my co-founder David Vincent and I, we both go to these conventions and they're truly inspiring. As a voice actor, we're in a box by ourselves and we pour our hearts and souls into the microphone. And all we get is the director hitting a button and saying, yeah, that was great, moving on. There's no laugh, there's no applause, and going to a convention for a voice actor especially is like their applause. So it's really inspiring, and we'd go to these cons and then just get lit up on social media with things like, I didn't get to ask my question at your panel, or I missed your autographs, or when are you coming to my city? Insert some city somewhere in the world here. And we didn't have a good solution to reach those people and connect with those people, and that's why we started Unlocked. And I'm really excited that Unlocked's now on iOS and Android. Just recently, we've rolled out a new feature that is so cool. It's a way to sign an autograph exactly how it happens at a convention for anyone anywhere in the world. And for the actor, it's the most exciting experience is having a conversation with the person coming up to get my autograph and being able to talk to them and share stories with them and interact with them. And Unlocked gives that opportunity to people who can't make it to the convention or who meet co-stars but never get to interact with me. So it's an incredible opportunity to open the world up to new people, new fans, and fans that weren't able to connect with their favorite actors. So it's very exciting.
So almost wrapping up, but you mentioned that Eren goes through quite a bit of almost a strain on you. What's the hardest character you've ever had to, or the hardest thing you've had to do in a booth to pull off either an effect or a scene?
I mean, in Attack on Titan, Eren bites his hand. I bit my hand so hard I left a bruise. Rino Kumura, during one of the scenes, this monster is kind of crushing his throat, so I choked myself a little bit, but it sounds fantastic. Actually, just last week, I recorded the last episode of the newest season of Sword Art Online, of the first half of the season, and I could barely speak after because it was so emotionally draining and physically draining to go through that battle and that experience with him. It was a really difficult session, but I'm so incredibly proud of what we were able to get, and I cannot wait for people to see it. Alicization has really been an awesome arc of the show, and I can't wait for people to see it.
So from when you record it, how long is it until you see the final product?
It depends on the show. For Attack on Titan, it's really quick. Alicization, now it's just a few weeks. In the States, it's coming out on Cartoon Network only a few weeks after we record. And sometimes it's a lot longer. Like for Seven Deadly Sins, we had everything in the can, and then Netflix held it for a little while, and then just released it all. And by the end of the next day, people are already writing me saying, when is the next season? So it's interesting to get all these different types of releases.
Yeah, I've spoken to other artists from Funimation as well, and sometimes they say it's over a year if they're doing a home release set until they're allowed to talk about it and tell people that they're in it.
NDAs are tricky.
Yes.
They really are.
So wrapping up, where can fans follow you online or hit you unlocked or Twitter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where can they follow your work and what should they be looking forward to? What are you in?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Bryce Papenbrook, on Facebook at actor Bryce Papenbrook, and on Unlocked on iOS or Android at Bryce Papenbrook. And I've been talking a lot, lots of season 3s, lots of things kind of coming out, and lots of new projects. So check me out on social, and can't wait for you guys to see this work.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Talent Talk. Look forward to next week's episode where I'll be sitting down and talking to another voice actor from the anime industry and picking their brain. If you liked this episode, please consider subscribing on YouTube or on your podcasting platform of choice so you never miss an episode. And feel free to communicate with me on Twitter at anigame_au. That's ANIGAME_AU. And let me know who you'd love to see on the show. This has been Joel from Anigame, and I'll catch you in the next episode.